Now, let's return to the structure which was seen in my game against Georgiev, the first game that I showed. And I just want to share an example which is taken from the practice of Garry Kasparov. This position occurred in the game Kasparov-Georgadze. And it was played in 1979. Okay, Kasparov was 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what White wants in this position? What is White's general plan? What is Black's idea? And how should White proceed? Of course, White, okay, I will give you 30 seconds at least. Play on the queen side, a3, b4. Yes. Generally speaking, when you have a space advantage on the queen side, you should search for pawn breaks on the queen side. So this pawn, d5 pawn, gives us a space advantage on the queen side. Therefore, I should try to execute a pawn break on the queen side. And the only pawn break is b4. But let's consider something else, which is also very important. Should I prepare b4 in some way? Maybe, should I play a3 or b4, or I should use the a pawn in another way? Maybe it is important to take into account the fact that Black has already played a6 in this position. Therefore, White can play a4, a5, then knight a4, bishop d2, and b4. And in such a position, Black will not be able to stabilize the structure by means of b6. Okay, this is a very nice plan. a4, a5, knight a4, bishop d2, and b4. White is crushing. And if a player with less experience sees such an opportunity, he will immediately go for it. But when we have experience, we should first of all consider what our opponent can do. And here, what is Black's idea? Okay, now Black just wants to exchange pieces. A possible idea would be bishop e7 followed by knight h4. Just a second, I have seen a question. Some of you ask why we have space advantage on the queen side and not on the king side, because the d5 pawn is on the queen side. Yeah, but of course, you're right. This pawn gives us a general space advantage. But since the pawn is on the queen side and takes important squares there, it's very logical to start executing pawn breaks on the queen side. Okay, so Black wants to play bishop e7 and knight h4. Maybe also after playing bishop e7, he wants to go for f5, rook f8 and f5. Therefore, Kasparov first played g3. Bishop e7, now h4, knight f6. Should I start playing on the queen side, or I should keep preventing the counterplay of my opponent? Okay, we should prevent it. What exactly Black wants in this position? He wants to make use of the weakened white squares. because by playing g3 and h4, we have weakened the white squares. Therefore, black can play queen d7, queen h3, then knight g4, rook f8, f5. This is the source of counterplay in this position. Therefore, Kasparov played knight h2 in order to be able to play queen f3 when needed. What was the point of h4? Just a second. What was the point of h4? Yes, for example, in some positions, when you play bishop e3, then knight d2, or when you remove the f3 knight, your opponent can exchange the bishops by means of bishop g5. And by placing your opponents, by placing your pawns on the cover of your opponent's bishop, you prevent any kind of activity. Now, knight f6, knight h2, queen d7. By playing queen d7, of course, black wants to go for queen h3 if possible, but at the same time, he prepares b5. Therefore, Kasparov played a4, which is a part of the plan. Queen h3, queen f3. Now it's impossible to carry out any f7, f5 ideas, and black saw nothing better than returning with the queen. This is a clear sign that black has run out of ideas. Now we should start preparing our plan. And what was the move? a5. Yeah, everybody has seen this move already. a5. Then it's how to improve the position. Bishop d2, knight a4, and b4. After exchanging this pawn, the bishop will go to b4, and then we should carry out that idea c4, c5. Knight f8, sorry. Black could have blocked with a5. Yeah, this is a possible idea. Instead of playing queen d7, he could have played a5, but such a move has obvious disadvantages. b5 is a very, very weak square. Sometimes I can put pressure by means of rook a3, rook b3. Also, I can I can exchange the queens via f5 and have access to e4 square. At some point, I'm going to open the king side. Black has many problems in the rising positions. No counterplay at all. So queen d7, a5, knight f8, bishop d2, rook c8. Now this move is making much more difficult for us to play b4, b2, b4. And now, how should we prepare this idea? The c4 pawn will be hanging. Of course, we can play knight a4, but then bishop d8. What is the best way to defend the c4 pawn? Because generally, I want to play knight a4 and b4. Rook fc1, there is such an answer. But as I already pointed out, you should always try to protect your pawns by using less powerful pieces. And in this position, we have a knight, which is not doing anything. This h2 knight. Now we can transfer the knight to the e3 square in order to protect the c4 pawn, thus keeping the f5 square under control and making possible some knight f5 related ideas. Therefore, Kasparov played knight f1, knight g4, preventing knight e3, knight a4, bishop d8, and now, of course, when it's not possible to play knight e3, then we go for rook c1. Rook b8, b4. C takes b4, bishop takes b4, h5. And here, what is the idea? We should already prepare the move c5. This is our typical idea in this position. And it's very, Kasparov played a very interesting move, knight b6. At first glance, not so logical, because we have a space advantage and we exchange minor piece. But since later the c5 will be open, we're creating a stronghold for the rook on c8, on c7. And later, our rook is going to penetrate the position of our opponent via the c7 square. Queen e7, queen a3, then rook d8, f3. Before playing c5, I just chase the knight away in order to prevent any possible counterplay, because maybe at some point black has some dynamic ways of playing this in this position. g5, knight g6. Therefore, starting with f3 is preferable. Knight h6, c5, d takes c5, bishop c5, queen f6. Many moves are possible in this position. The immediate bishop e7 is not possible due to queen b6, king g4, king g2, just preventing any possible counterplay, rook e8, and now bishop e3. Now it becomes clear why Kasparov has started with knight b6 and why the c7 square is so important. I'm going to use it with the rook. Okay, the game went in this way, and after playing queen e7, black ran out of time. But here the winning is obvious. The win is obvious because after exchanging the queens, white can just play rook c7. Black's position is hopeless. d6 is coming. Rook d8 is impossible because the b7 pawn is hanging. So a very instructive play by Kasparov. First of all, he prevented any possible counterplay, and then he realized he executed his plans. Just a second.